When you're looking for products to help make your car look glossy and shiny, do you buy a generic product which is not biased towards a colour, or do you buy one which is suited for the colour of your car? Some people think that that's really just a waste of time and it doesn't really matter what colour it is. Turtle Wax, on the other hand, they think that it is important because they have released these. This is the Hybrid Solutions Ceramic Acrylic Black Range. So as if the name wasn't bad enough for being long before, with the previous products, which was the Hybrid Solutions Ceramic Spray Coating and the Hybrid Solutions Ceramic Polish and Wax. These were the previous products which came out last year. So this year they've released these for black vehicles, and they are pigmented black. So I've been reading up about these, and as far as I can tell, and I really can't see much more difference, all it really is that these are black in colour, specifically for black cars. Now, they haven't released them for any other colours. So they are just black in colour, and also they contain acrylic components in here. From what I can tell, acrylics are generally used for filler abilities, acrylic resins, and they will go into your scratches and swirls and help fill them in a bit. Because they are black, it will hopefully, that is the idea, improve the look of your black paint. So it's not just adding a generic filler and generic wax, but there's actually some colour going on there, hoping to possibly enrich your black paint and deepen it, darken it perhaps. It's just all dedicated for black paint. So really interested to see how these work. The polish, as far as I can tell, is exactly the same though. All the information is the same. It has polishing platelets, which are, rather than other abrasives, that's how the abrasives work. They are platelets, they're discs. Now you can use this by hand, but if you're looking for defect removal to try and remove swirls and scratches, did I say squirrels? Swirls! Squirrels on your paint, major issue here. To remove swirls and scratches, to get the most out of it, you're going to want to use a machine polisher to get the best results. But because it has those coloured acrylic resins and other things in here, hopefully a hand application would still give good results. Then the same with the black wax. It's interesting, they've just called this one a polish, and yet the other one, the previous one, says polish and wax. Okay, polish and wax, black polish. But interestingly, it still says it has exactly the same SiO2 and acrylic polymers. Okay, it's got acrylic polymers, whereas this one doesn't. But this one says it contains SiO2, so there's some protection to be had from this. So again, they seem very, very similar. So it is, technically speaking, a polish and wax. You will cut the paint, you will improve the look, and you will add protection, as many all-in-one polishes would do. So that's very interesting. As far as the spray products are concerned, they look to be absolutely identical, other than this one has the black part of it. But it looks absolutely the same as far as I can tell. It just says black pigmented polish and carnauba wax. Interesting that it says polish. This one doesn't say polish. So again, I just think it's that black side of things. It's not really a polish. I think it's a play on the wording of it. Not entirely sure, but we're going to try these out. The kit is really nice here. This is something that was sent out to reviewers. You will be able to buy this kit. It will be slightly different to how I receive it, in the fact that you will have one of the sizes of polishing pad. But we'll go over it. There's a nice Turtle Wax branded applicator pad. It feels much like a waxing pad, to be honest. So that's for applying the polish to the car. You have, in this kit, a 5-inch and a 6-inch machine polishing pad. They are Turtle Wax branded on the back, which is very cool. They look just like the Lake Country CCS pads, to be honest. So I get a 5 and a 6-inch. You'll be able to buy this kit with a 5 or a 6-inch pad, depending on your machine polisher. For that today, I'm going to be using this long throw, 15mm long throw DA machine here with the 5-inch pad. And a little sticker in there, which is nice. You can barely see that even on camera, can you? See that there? There you go. So the sticker there, and that's to go in your glass. And then also a black coloured microfiber towel. In fact, 2 edgeless black microfibers. Very nice. So we're going to give this a try on my dad's Mercedes. It is in dire need of a polish. Let's go and take it out to the car. So let's have a quick look at the condition of the bonnet, and maybe on camera it's going to look nice and shiny, but I can see loads of swirls. There goes the sun, which is great because we can have a look there. You can see all those swirls, all of that circular marking there. These are all swirl marks. You can also see there's various damage. That looks like a fingerprint. This has been cleaned, I promise it's been cleaned, obviously. My father, I was showing him, he must have put his hand on the bonnet. So there we go, there's a fair amount of damage. There's a bunch of scratching down there. There's also a dent, which is not ideal. So we've got all sorts of different kinds of damage on this panel. Where do we see there's some deeper scratching going on there. The paint is nice, it's got that metal flake to it, but I don't feel that. I can just about feel that with my nail, so I'm not entirely sure if we'll be able to remove that. So really it does need something to lift it. So applying a few dots onto the hand polishing pad here. I'm not going overboard, but I'm using enough there because it was a warm sunny day, the panel was warm, and I didn't want the polish to dry out, so I wasn't sure how it would feel. Being a bit more generous allowed there to be a little bit more lubricity while I polish it by hand. Certainly is a slower going process and much more effort is required to do it by hand. When buffing off, removing the residue first. Afterwards, you then come around with a damp microfiber to activate the shine polymers, and it does seem more slick once you've done that. So I just wanted to have a look here after the initial application. So the top half of the bonnet has been hand applied, the bottom half hasn't had anything yet. So you can see here, right there are the swirls. If we move up to the polished section, to my eyes, it's just a bit darker and less hazy. You see there, it seems to go a bit more hazy. So it hasn't really removed much of the swirls there as we come up to the polished side, but there is a little more clarity in my eyes, to be honest. It's very hard to tell the difference with the camera, but I think there is a little bit more depth and clarity after the hand applied polish. So interesting. Let's carry on with the rest of the hand application, although it is reminding me about why I hate hand polishing. It's just not so nice to use by hand as it will be by machine, I hope, but let's carry on. So polishing the rest, I'm working a larger area. I wasn't entirely sure how well this would work because of the temperature of the day, but there was a decent amount of lubrication in the polish here. I'm working across and up and down to make sure that the polish is spread around, and then come to buff it off. The first buff, you can see there how much coloration is in the polish on the buffing towel. Flip it to another side, remove everything else. Yes, I know I missed a tiny bit at the bottom of the bonnet there. And then again, a dampened towel to pick up everything else and to activate the shine polymers. And there was some of the polish there on the towel. Okay, and it does overall look nicer, it does look shinier and glossier, but there are still all those swirls. By hand, you are not going to remove them, but is there some improvement to the look of the paint? Yes, it does look shinier and glossier. Interestingly enough, going over with a damp microfiber, I was pulling off a little amount of that pigmentation there. I could see it on the towel, but yeah, it's looking good there. Let's try it though with a machine polisher over on that side. Unfortunately, I couldn't get really small dots because the polish is actually really runny and it comes out really fast. However, it does make it easy to use on the pad, and using the machine polisher here, I'm able to get across nice and easily. It has a decent working time if you're using a machine polisher, if you're experienced enough. It doesn't dry out on you quickly, it seems to have a long open time. And I'm only giving it a few passes side to side and up and down
just to give it a decent application to engage those abrasives and also to allow the fillers and SiO2 into the panel to do their thing. So I'm not going for paint correction here, I'm just going for an enhancement polish. And the polisher is definitely much easier to use this with. By hand it's not bad, but by machine it's much better.
Alright, on first inspection here of this half of the bonnet, the top half looks nicer than the hand application. Obviously we haven't got the sunshine to get around here, but I've got my inspection light. So let's have a look. Let's see if we can see. Let's go down to the unpolished section. See if we can see those swirls. There they all are. Now let's move up to the polished side. And yeah, it looks to me like there are less. There's still damage in the paint. I'm not trying to go for proper paint correction here, but it does look like there is some improvement to the paint there. Let's go back down to the unpolished section. You can see those swirls starting to reappear there. So going back up to the polished section, and they are, to my eye, less visible. So there is an improvement to the paint here with the machine polished side, and obviously machine polishing it was much easier. Now taking a little bit of extra time is always good. The pad seems to be pretty good actually. You can see also here on the tape that you can see the pigmentation there. You can see the black polish has got onto the tape, so you can definitely see the colouring there, and you could see it on the buffing towel too. So I'm going to carry on and do the bottom half of this panel now.
So working the rest again, I'm working a larger section. I'm not going too slowly or too fast, somewhere in between. Just treat this machine as something that's going to help you do the job just a little bit quicker and easier with less effort. I'm not going for paint correction. But I enjoyed working with this pad. It was soft enough to be able to adapt to some of the curves on the bonnet, but still firm enough to be able to engage those abrasives.
Alright, so now the whole panel on this side has been polished. We can see here in the reflection of the sun that there is an improvement in the look, I think. Let's get the inspection light out again. Let's have a look, see if we can swirl spot. You can see this is the section we looked at before. It's just been polished. It is looking nicer, so there is an improvement. It's not perfect, but like I said, I'm not chasing perfection. But this is the top section. There are some random scratches and so on in this paint, but overall I do think that it's improved the look. Let's go back over to the other side here, which was hand applied, and you can see there are more marks in the paint. So hand applied is good, but machine applied is a little better. Let's take off the tape and see what's left underneath it. Okay, so this is the right hand side. Let's move over to the taped off section, which is there. And yes, I know it was on the crease line. That's what it looks underneath. That's what it looks otherwise. So to me, going by the naked eye there across the tape line, that tape line is pale compared to the sections either side. I know I haven't buffed that off yet, but you can still see there on the sections which haven't really needed any buffing off per se. You can see the tape line is visible from both sides, meaning that it has done something to the look of the paint. Okay, polishing done. So there is the center crease. That's where the tape line went, and as you can see, I've just gone over it with the polisher and the tape line is now gone. So the polish has definitely filled in there. So now the bonnet is looking pretty nice. Unfortunately, I cannot put the spray wax on here yet because, well, it needs 24 hours to cure. That doesn't mean I can't use it elsewhere, so I'm going to be trying it
on some other sections that haven't been polished.
So let's say you want to make your car look nice and shiny and use a black wax. Can you use this without polishing? Well, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's a ceramic acrylic spray wax. It just happens to be black in colour. So let's try it on half this door and find out how it works. So the short answer is yes. To be honest, I can't really see a massive difference. However, this side has now had some cleansing going on. You can see it is on the microfiber here. There is a bit of coloration there, which is interesting. So it definitely is colored again. You can see it's kind of black on there. So interesting, this product. You can definitely use it as a spray wax without any preparation, but preparation is always something which you want to go for. And yeah, it looks pretty good. So I decided to come back to the bonnet. This is the hand polished side, and there are some marks and some scratches, if I can find my finger, right here. They don't look great. And there are just a few randoms spread out around this bottom section. Little bits and pieces that are annoying me. A bunch of scratching going on there. Now that is deeper scratching. That is a dent, looks like a stone dent. It's kind of deep. That's going to need repairing. But here, I can't really feel those with my nail, only just barely. So I want to try these. I'll see if I can either remove them or improve them. And a few other sections along here. What I'm going to be using instead, with the same polish there, I'm going to be using my smaller DA machine. That's got a 3-inch backing plate with a different pad, but it's a similar feel and similar cut level. So we're going to give this a try and see how it comes out. Using the smaller pad on the smaller machine was much easier to work in this curved section of the bonnet, and it seemed to do a decent job. Alright, so the marks that were there before are still there. There is not much in the way of cut here, I don't think. Perhaps it needs another going over. It is looking that little bit better. These scratches here do appear to be made slightly less visible. They do seem to be lost in the paint a little bit. So there's something going on there. Whether it's the platelets, the pigmentation that's hiding them, the filling that's going on there, or whether it's the actual cut that's going on. I say they're not ideal, these marks, but it does look like they've been improved somewhat, but not perfect. I think it would need a slightly heavier cut. But as far as the gloss and shine is concerned, it definitely has been improved on the paint. Now there's part of this car which has really bothered me, and it's this section on the paint here below the B-pillar, and I don't know why. You can't really see it in this light, but when you catch it, and let's get here with the inspection. So this is the average swirling you would expect, but as we come across towards the bottom of the pillars there, you see it just gets much worse. That's really, really bad, and I don't know why that's there. So I'm hoping that this polish can help to improve the look of this somewhat. Now I didn't mask any of this off, but I'm only working a very small section. It's just for demonstration purposes. Alright, let's look at the result. It does look glossier and shinier here, so let's get the light on it again. So here is where I didn't polish. So you can see there are swirls and marks and all sorts, and as we come into the polished area, you remember what that looked like before? There is a definite improvement. It's not swirl free, but compared to that was like before, that is a real difference there. Much more gloss and shine, and it definitely has improved it. Oh, I've lost it there. Going down further where I didn't polish, you can see there's more swirls there, but as you come up, there are less and less. So it's definitely doing the job of enhancing the look of the car. And here we have a wild fat cat. What are you doing, Felix? Are you stunned at the look of the car? Do you like the Is he staring at the car? Do you like it? Are you happy with it? Fat boy? So the car is looking really good right now. The bonnet has now been fully polished by machine overall. These wings and doors have all been sprayed with the spray wax, and it is looking really nice now. It was a very nice and easy to use product, just like the ceramic spray coating that was before that. It's perhaps just a tiny bit thicker than I remember, but it does come up nice and glossy and shiny, which is really nice. Hopefully I can get this car back in 24 hours and check out the water repelling abilities of that, and also find out if we can get some of the spray wax onto the polished panel as well, because this has protection in it and we need to let that cure for 24 hours before we top it with anything else. But overall, the car is looking really nice right now. Alright, it's the next day and I've just got the car back. And I've gone over it with a rinseless wash, ONR, on the bonnet there and on the side of the car that I had treated with the wax. And yes, you can see it's starting to rain already, but that's okay. We're going to have a look now at the water behavior after 24 hours of cure time and after 24 hours of me being sunburnt after yesterday. This really sucks. Anyway, let's get on with it and have a look at the water repellency of the bonnet. This is 24 hours cure time with the polish, which does have protection in it. That's really good water repellency. Cannot argue with that. Considering that's just a polish, there's no protection, no dedicated protection product, should I say, applied to that at all. It is just the polish, which contains its acrylic resins and its SiO2. So you can see there's a mixture of beading and sheeting going on there. If we come further back, there's the beading. We'll have a quick look at those beads. Zoom in there. Nice beads. Different sizes, but they're all relatively round, which is nice. And then if the panel gets a bit more flooding going on, somebody switched off the hose earlier, there you go. There's the flooding, which means you get sheeting. So that would be nice for being able to rinse off the car after washing. That will sheet the water. Now let's have a look over here on these panels. These have had the spray wax applied. Nice sheeting going on there. Let's check out if the beads. There's the beading. Let's have a quick zoom in on that beading. Perhaps not quite as round as the other, but again, this panel has only been, or at least this whole car, has been decontaminated, but these panels have not been polished. So you can see that's the water behavior from an unpolished, just spray wax application there. So it's just the spray wax. You can see that comes off quite nicely indeed. It wants to sheet, it wants to bead. It's very nice and it was very easy to apply, has to be said. Look at that, it's leaving a very dry panel there. In fact, that is perfectly dry, 100% dry. So it's yeah, it helps to sheet the water, it helps to repel the water for sure. It gives it nice beading if you're looking for the beading, and it would just supplement this polish very nicely. I wish I could apply it now, but right now with the rain coming, I cannot apply the spray wax on top of this, but I will once the rain stops. I'll apply it and I'll try and do a follow-up at some point. It may just be on my Instagram to show how long this has lasted both. I think I'll maybe do both. I'll maybe leave one half of the bonnet just polished, the other half of the bonnet polished and waxed, and then down that side of the car just the spray wax, and we'll just keep an eye on them and see how well they last. Okay, verdict time. What do I think of these? The black ceramic acrylic, ridiculously long named version. They could have just called it ceramic black, but they had to include acrylic. I don't know how good the acrylic is. I don't know how much more it gives you from the standard ceramic polish and wax. Is it any better? Well, as far as usage is concerned, not really. To be honest, this is a little runnier, and this was already runny when I tried it last year. This one is just a wee bit more runny, which is interesting. It's also annoying because you can flick it everywhere. You can see on the bottle here, I've got bits of polish on here. Because it's very black, it's very pigmented. Be very careful. Because it's runny and it stays wet, this cap is sort of springy when it opens and springy closed. You've got to be very careful because you could flick product. It happened to me a couple of times yesterday. So be very careful. I mean, you see, I'm still getting some on my skin here because it's remaining wet in certain spots there, which is kind of annoying. So be very careful when you're using this that you don't wear light or bright clothes. I'm very lucky I didn't get it on my fantastic orange t-shirt. The runny product teamed up with this rather large opening on the bottle means that you can get it out onto the polishing pad easily, but it can almost be too easy and you could over apply it. So be very, very careful when you're using this. That's one thing I would mention. Is it going to add anything that the standard polish and wax wouldn't do? I'm not entirely sure. It has these colored fillers which are designed to help it along a little bit better than standard. Is it going to in real world application? I'm not entirely sure. I think it's a personal preference. It's a few quid more expensive than this one. I think it's just going to be a personal preference, but it was easy to use. It left the car looking nice and glossy and shiny, and it left protection there. So that was good. Then when it comes to the black ceramic wax, is it ceramic wax? Ceramic acrylic black wax. Huge long name, which is kind of ridiculous. Is it any better than the spray coating? Well, realistically, I don't think for most people they will see much of a difference. The only difference I could find on the bottle was that the ceramic spray coating mentions on the label that a second coat after 24 hours will give you 12 months of protection. It is not mentioned on the black one. So I don't think the protection is quite up to scratch. It still says it has ceramic and acrylic polymers in there, so it is a ceramic product. Ceramic infused, shall we say. Is it going to last? Go away, I'm busy. Is it going to last as long as that one? Possibly not, and it may be because of the pigmentation and the acrylics in here that stop it lasting quite as long. It is definitely colored. If you look at the difference here, this is the standard one. It just looks like I'm spraying water on my hand. And this is the black one. And you can see that there. So how much of that is going to stay on the paint is a good question. When you spray it on, all you have to do is wipe over with a microfiber, but as soon as you do that, well, it's gone. You can see it on the towel though. So I said I'm busy, go away. So with that in mind, is it going to leave much? Probably not, but is it going to leave a little? Well, maybe, and that could be the difference. Again, it's a few quid more expensive than the standard spray coating, not by much. But it's up to you guys. If you've got a black car and you really want to make it look nice and clean and shiny and you want to maintain it and you're looking for something which is specific to black cars, I'm sure these are going to be decent. I just don't know how much more you're going to get out of it. If you don't care about that, I would say just go with the standard ones. But they are easy to use products. I should also point out, this is the polishing pad that I was using, and you can see all the staining that's gone on there. That's the orange it used to look like, and that's the staining now. I've cleaned it out, it's dry now, but Yeah, it's always going to be stained like this now. I'm not going to be able to get that out. If that's an issue for you, go with a standard white one. But even then, I've seen orange pads using white polishes, and you get pale patches. So, it is what it is. Anyway, thank you very much to Turtle Wax for sending over this kit. It's been very interesting to try out. I really enjoyed giving it a go. It's not something I get a chance to do much as far as the machine polishing is concerned, but using it by machine is definitely more useful and time efficient, and just gives, as far as I can see, slightly better results by machine than by hand. So thank you very much again. If you enjoyed this video though, please go ahead and smash that like button. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and while you're there, ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video uploads. In the meantime, I've been Specky. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.